Shout out to Camarada Cero, by the way, who recorded this clip. This is a very famous clip of compañera Aminta. Kayla was also here as well at this event. So this is a few years back. This is actually Aminta, our very own Aminta, confronting Joanna Hausmann. It was one of the most beautiful videos I saw. And I think so many of us who are communists, anti-imperialists, who have seen Joanna Hausmann's videos and are like, oh, like she's horrible. Aminta, like I lived vicariously through Aminta, and it was very cathartic to see you confront her here. So I just want to play this clip of you just laying down the facts and steady. Look at the way Aminta confronts her. She's not like emotional. She's very calm, collect. She puts her arguments forward. So I just want to show this clip, and we'll get your reactions.
I think it is disgusting that somebody like Joanna Hausmann, who lives in a luxury apartment in New York City, decides what is happening in Venezuela. I went to Venezuela this summer, and I actually met with Venezuelans, and you will see that in every corner in Venezuela, in Caracas, you will see that the Bolivarian revolution continues to live within every person in Venezuela. You will see Venezuelans are not even filled with these so-called violent individuals, but in fact, you see people who are trying to combat U.S. sanctions, foreign policy that, for example, Joanna Hausmann, your father is Ricardo Hausmann.
Thank you.
Shout out to Aminta for doing that. Not a lot of people will do that. I give mad props to Aminta because, we're talking about a banker princess, the daughter of somebody who has literally called for coups, who has overthrown governments. Like, these aren't just regular people. These are some of the top ruling class. And for you to be able to confront her, I think was something that was really cool. Maybe let's start off with you, Comrade Kayla, because obviously Aminta was in the video, and then we'll go to Aminta afterward. But Kayla, what are your thoughts? You were there as well, so tell us about that moment.
I mean, I just want to say how down Aminta was about it, because I live in New York, but Aminta at the time was living in Washington D.C. And I don't even know how I found out about the event, but I call her up maybe the day before or the same day, and I was like, Aminta, Joanna Hausmann is having a public event in the new school. We need to stop it. And she's like, bet, we're coming. And buys a bus ticket, comes to New York. We're outside agitator. and then we go, and it was, that event, I think it was very surreal. I just remember, sitting down and trying to see how many people would be there, and mostly, white people, just a bunch of white people that were sitting there. And it was kind of, I don't know what exactly it was, but there was a certain point where I was like, all right, Aminta, go. Get up and do it. And then she just pops off, and Joanna Hausmann is just sitting there oh, here we go again. I don't know. I don't think that they expected it, because they saw the crowd of young students, people who probably don't know any much better. And Aminta was popping off. She was, getting everybody hot. You saw that one guy, so disrespectful. Absolutely no manners, that kid. Then again,
just mad corny, yo. He's like, thank you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, that guy pissed me. So he goes up to Aminta, then there's an older man who walks up to her, and then Yamid goes and stops her. I get up and I'm like, all right, while they're doing this, I had a Chavista shirt on, so I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't even remember what I said. The old man comes up to me and he's like, how much are they paying you? And I was like, how much are they paying you? I don't get paid for this.
Right.
What do you know how much they paying you? It got crazy. Then you got a Chilean girl who was started standing up and saying oh, Chile stood up against a dictatorship or whatever, and we were just all clowning her. It got crazy. At one point, this girl got up in my face. I pushed her. She slapped me. It was let me tell you, these Latin American Latin American fascists. Oh, I threw the water bottle at because she was pissing me off. Okay, these Chileans with their white supremacy just be pissing me off. But Aminta was getting at this before too, about the character of these right-wing Venezuelans is that they'll come to people who don't know any better and be feign this innocence of I just want my country to be free for you to run around like it's playground, right? It's your playground. And then they turn around, and when you're actually somebody from Latin America, like Aminta I saw some of the things that they would say about her. I saw some of the campaigns that they would have against her, and they were attacking Aminta. And Aminta's only 19 years old when she's dealing with this, and she's literally got like a whole diaspora in a city against her. She's got all eyes. She's got the state looking at her. Like I don't know. I don't think I could have handled that, but she handled that like a boss, and she still came up and told Joanna Hausmann about herself. But like even some of the things that I've heard, like, for example, even just on like Instagram, you'll say something about Venezuela, and then people will be like, "Oh, you're Peruvian. You have a nose of a bird." Like, I don't know. They're just there's just so much racism. They really show their ass when you're a Latin American person, and like the way that they talk to you, they'll use these racist things. They'll call you an India. They'll call you a nigger. They'll be nasty. But then to the other side, to the liberal American, they're like, oh, free my country from the the crutches of Maduro, and we just need to be free, and we need Donald Trump to save us. And also that's a narrative that's like not popular within Venezuela. That's why the opposition, even the opposition, this type of opposition, lost a lot of support of the opposition in Venezuela, because that's not a popular saying, to say, yeah, come and liberate my country within the country. But that was quite an event. Joanna Hausmann immediately, I love this. We shut down the event. They were so angry. The Chilean girl started crying. Like we made our mark, to the point that Joanna Hausmann got home, went online onto Twitter, and she blocked me. Like, I didn't even find me, and she blocked us both. It was hilarious.
That's fucking funny. We should have posted that shit on World Star. It'd be like, yo, on the Shade Room, and that would have been hilarious. But yo, Aminta, what was going through your mind as that was happening, and tell us a little bit about how you felt at that moment.
So I remember, honestly, huge shout out and big thanks to Kayla for bringing this event to my attention, because I don't think that I would have been able to do it without her support and her camaraderie. I remember before we even were about to sit down, we were in the bathroom kind of trying to strategize, like, okay, this is how we're going to do this. And there was, I think, maybe 10, 15 minutes max where they were talking. It was normal, like a normal event. But then it got to a point where I just kind of felt the adrenaline sort of hit me. And in my mind, I was really trying to strategize, okay, how am I going to just call her out in this moment? And so as soon as I stood up, I was just like, all right, I did my research. I studied as much as I could about her family, about her involvement. I'm going to shut this down. And I remember, I think, something that really encouraged me to speak out was when they started talking about how los colectivos are just filled with gang members. Earlier that year, I was in Caracas, and I had the opportunity, I had the honor to meet with people who are building revolution in los colectivos. And it was incredible to see how it was, it's majority families. They're people who have used the constitutional reforms of even, 1999 when Hugo Chavez was elected to really like take land back and like redistribute the resources that were rightfully theirs. And so, when I just hear things like, oh, they're filled with gang members or this or that, I'm like, no, you're just being racist, first of all, because, yeah, the majority of the people in the colectivos are Afro-Venezolanos or mestizos, they're people who are working class, who have a critical consciousness about what it means to actively be fighting and resisting empire for the means of your own people's liberation, for the creation and reaffirming of your livelihood. Because I think that is fundamentally why we're socialist, right? Why we're Marxist, why we're communist, is because we recognize that our people we deserve to have the wealth that is rightfully ours. We deserve to have access to, from basic human rights, such as housing, healthy food, water, but also to have the possibility to cultivate community,